Welcome, Reds, to the 100% United podcast. I'm your host, TC, and here's my co-host, Scott. Hi, Scott.
Hello, pal.
On today's show, we pore over Saturday's 2-1 loss at home to Crystal Palace. Points dropped, injuries, and more negative headlines surrounding Manchester United. 3 games in, pal. It's already starting to feel like the end of last season. From bad to worse, really.
Yeah, it was tough to watch, wasn't it?
Oh, here we go again.
Looked like we got back into it and then chucked it all away at the end.
Yes, and obviously we had the pod directly after the Wolves game, so we jumped on straight after the game. So we were a bit emotional and raw. Unfortunately, we were looking for a positive reaction after that 1-1 draw at Wolves, and the reaction, we have to say, Scott, it wasn't up to standard. And we trailed Crystal Palace for 76 minutes. We've relied on the summer signing, £15 million summer signing, to rescue us. And then we somehow managed to toss it away and lose 2-1 in injury time at Old Trafford.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't up to standard, was it? We left Molineux with a 1-1 draw, and that wasn't up to standard. And I think there's enormous pressure put on the players after we don't win, and sometimes that galvanises the team, and sometimes it does the complete opposite. And unfortunately, we looked at the latter this weekend.
Yeah, you're right, Scott. There is pressure coming from all angles for a lot of players who are not ready for that pressure. But there's also a thing of us adding pressure on top of pressure. I mean, we have to talk about the penalty debacle. Mm-hmm. Marcus Rashford missed a penalty against Palace on Saturday. And the truth of the matter is, mate, is that we've made whoever takes a penalty for United now have 10 times the pressure that they had at the start of the season.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Problem was, it was too perfect of a penalty, right? You try to put it too far in the corner and when the keeper goes the other way and you still miss it, you look twice the full.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say, Scott, is that the penalty, it was margins away from being a perfect penalty. But you would have to say that it's possible that Rashford was trying extra hard to make sure because of the added pressure.
Of course.
And to me, it's unnecessary. I think it's been mismanaged. I think Ollie has mismanaged that. We have to be fair. I do stand by the fact that I don't think having one fixed penalty taker is a necessity, but the whole world doesn't need to know about it, Scott. We don't have to tell the whole world what is going on inside our dressing room and on the field within our team.
I completely agree with you. And if anything, I would think that Anthony Martial could step up to the plate and hit a penalty in. But now if you choose him, now there's even more pressure on him.
Can I interject, Scott? Because that's a superb point. Since when did Martial become not our penalty taker? Because remember, back a little while ago, Martial took our penalties and he took them like Eden Hazard.
Yeah.
He'd saunter up, the keeper would go down, he just rolls it the other way.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like a particularly good penalty, but the keeper's never had a chance because he's gone before Martial's hit it. Now, to me, that is the highest percentage penalty tactic that you can use. It's the same as Cantona. You wait for the keeper and you pop it in the other corner. Now, when did Martial become a worse penalty taker than, say, Marcus Rashford, for starters?
I don't know. I think that when you take the mantle on of having the number 9 on the back of your shirt, penalty duties aren't that far away.
No. Let's just keep this in the front of our mind here, that Pogba has been our penalty taker, and the only time that Pogba hasn't taken a penalty when he is on the pitch is when the other guy gets fouled. Lingard once, Rashford twice. I'm sure I'm right in saying. Mm-hmm. So it still might be that Pogba has the say.
Yeah, it's one of those things now that the level of abuse and completely unwarranted abuse that he received after the Wolves game, it might be too much for him to want to step up to take it.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to touch on the abuse later, but let's get stuck into it now anyway. Rashford apparently was racially abused after he missed a penalty on Saturday, which comes after Pogba was racially abused when he missed a penalty on Monday against Wolves. Now, obviously, it's a massively sensitive subject, and it's a subject that any right-minded person doesn't want to be discussing. We don't want it on our front pages, we don't want it on our back pages, and we certainly don't want it in our club. There's a few points I want to get stuck into, Scott. First of all, there's no way of telling whether these are United fans or not.
Absolutely not.
So that's the first things first.
Yeah.
It could be a Liverpool fan jumping on. It could be a City fan jumping on. It could just be a loser jumping on and thinking, how can I get on the back page of the paper tomorrow?
Yeah.
And there's one surefire way.
Yeah.
There's an option for everybody in the world. And this is the problem I have with the way we're, as a whole, a collective, tackling this racism issue. I believe we're giving them too much of a platform. It's too attractive a proposition for a complete loser to get some attention, what they believe is attention, when I believe what we should be doing is not giving them these headlines. No one should know that Rashford was racially abused on Saturday. No one should know that Pogba was racially abused on Monday. You send the police round, you arrest the guy, and if they're convicted, then come out and say, oh, by the way, 4 months ago, Pogba was racially abused, and the guy who did it is now in jail.
Yeah, it's much easier said than done.
Yeah.
The shock factor is what these people want to report.
But then that's the problem, Scott. Then the papers have to put their hands up and say that they are fanning the flames of racism, because that's exactly my point. They want the headline, but they're not doing what's best for these men and for the game as a whole, I don't think.
No, but this is what you get when there's no verification process in order to get a Facebook profile or a Twitter profile. You can just sign up. All you need is an email account, and how easy is that to get? And the easier you allow these things to get, the worse the people you're going to attract. So something's got to be done, the platform that it's happening on as well, don't forget.
Of course. And let's just, the final point I want to make about it before we move on is that as a percentage of football fans, even if these are, in inverted commas, United fans, the percentage of United fans that are doing this is so minuscule that it wouldn't even register any kind of chart or a survey that you could do. So let's keep that at the front of our minds as well. It's not thousands and hundreds of thousands of United fans turning on players. We're talking about a handful of complete losers here.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah. Listen, pal, let's just go through the game and see where it all went on wrong, really. You have to say we reacted relatively well. First 25 minutes, it was all United. Mm-hmm. In that period, I thought Luke Shaw was much better going forward. Since I said he needs to improve his attacking, he actually has, hasn't he, Scott? But in that first 25 minutes, we had 78% possession to Palace's 22, 6 shots on goal, 0 on target, 4 corners to 0 in Palace. They made 6 fouls to our 0 and got booked 0 times. So in the first 25 minutes, I mean, that's pretty much consummate domination, isn't it?
Yeah, we're all over him, mate. All over him.
And actually, in that first 25 minutes, Maguire was actually more advanced than McTominay for that period of time, I noticed, which I thought was quite interesting.
I did notice that, yeah.
And Daniel James is just getting fouled way, way too much. We'll touch on a few incidents later on, but in that first, he just seems to be getting hacked down all the time. As I said, no yellow cards forthcoming at all. And I would say in the first sort of half hour, the formation looked very, very rigid, Scott. Very rigid, almost, dare I say it, Van Gaal rigid.
Yeah, and it's not really what you expect. With Jesse playing number 10,
no.
He's one of those that does like to drift, and when he's not drifting around as he usually does, then you know that the problems are serious.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? That's what you put Jesse in the team for.
Yeah.
For him bringing that mobility, that fluidity, that exchanging of places, moving into different zones and allowing the space for other people to move into. And if he's not doing that, he's not going to be setting up 3 goals a month. He's not going to be setting up 3 goals a year, really, in the number 10 position as he is at the moment. So the other thing, I thought Pogba's trying to be a little bit Hollywood, maybe trying to force it a little bit. But first 30 minutes, you have to say we were totally dominant. And then the 32nd minute, first shot on goal for Crystal Palace, first shot on target. Ayew again, clean through, slotted at home, 1-0. And like we said with this team, mate, we just can't concede first. Otherwise, it's a long, long afternoon.
Yeah, it was unbelievable how much space they had so easily. Lindelof missed header. All of a sudden, they're in acres of space, and it's taking candy off a baby.
It was, I mean, the fingers have to be pointed at Lindelof with this one. You've got to be winning that aerial challenge. And it did look like Palace had made a bit of a concerted effort to target Lindelof in the air. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what we get for having such a strong Harry Maguire next to him. They're obviously not going to want to go down that channel, so it becomes a bit more obvious. But that's certainly something that needs to be sorted out quickly, because you can't have a centre-back partnership where one it has an obvious weakness that can be targeted like that, I don't think.
Absolutely not.
So then 32nd minute, they obviously took the lead. 34th, Luke Shaw picked up an injury. It looks like he's going to be out for a number of weeks now. And Ashley Young reappeared, this time at left back. I actually thought Ashley Young had an all right game, to be honest with you. I think he's a better left back than he is right back.
Yeah.
Do you see Crystal Palace posting a video of Ashley Young supposedly getting skinned by Zaha?
I actually didn't see that. I saw Andros Townsend was defending him.
Yes, he was.
And saying that he doesn't warrant all this abuse that he gets, which is true.
Well, Ashley Young actually blocked the cross. So, it's like when someone nutmegs them and doesn't retrieve the ball. Is it really a nutmeg?
Yeah. That's a good point.
Not in my book. I made a note on my match notes, mate. I know I just mentioned that sort of Van Gaal thing, and I just wrote down possession football doesn't work without game breakers. I wrote that in the 35th minute, and that's valid for the rest of the game. If you're playing possession football and you've got the front four that we started with, it's quite obvious that front four doesn't fit in with the type of possession football playing that we set up on Saturday.
No, it definitely doesn't. Definitely doesn't. And we just don't... It didn't look like we really have the quality man for man to be able to keep the ball for long periods of time and create chances.
Yeah, and then 37th minute, really, really good save, David De Gea with his legs. 38th minute was the first yellow card for Crystal Palace, Milivojevic. The 7th foul of the game, Scott, to our 0. So really, they've had 6 free fouls on us before they get a booking. That can't be right.
No, I don't think it can. And if anything, that was a booking, but there were a couple before that were as well.
There were, and then Cahill on the 40th brought Martial down, clean throw on goal. He got a yellow card for that.
Ridiculous.
Should have been a red.
Of course it should have. Unbelievable.
And this is what I'm saying, Scott. We've put ourselves in a bad position as a club. We haven't bought correctly. We haven't managed the club correctly. But we are also at the mercy of these blooming refs, and they don't half love to manage us out of a game when we're playing badly like we are week in, week out, unfortunately, at the moment.
No, you're right.
They really love it.
I instantly thought if that was Lindelof or that was Maguire on the other end, how quickly the referee would have got his red card
over.
out. Yeah.
Oh, and get VAR out just to confirm it as well.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. It's totally daft. Pogba blasted a free kick off target at the 41st minute. I can't think of how many free kicks we ballooned and blasted off target and corners that we're getting. I mean, Luke Shaw was taking corners before he went off again.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Maguire saying, put it up in the air and I'll win it, but they can't even do that.
Yeah, something needs to change with that.
44th minute brought our first foul of the game. We actually committed a foul before then that got played on advantage. Paul Pogba in the 44th minute, the first foul that we conceded. So we basically, just been hacked off the field in that first half. Again, the goal changed the game. And it wasn't much different in the second half, really, mate. Pogba was so deep. It seemed to 1-0 down. It seems such a waste to have Pogba so deep when we've got Lingard pulling the strings.
Yeah, especially both of them so far back. McTominay didn't really venture into their half at all. If you're going to have Pogba so deep, you can at least give McTominay the license to roam forward a bit.
Yeah, we're playing Crystal Palace at home here.
Yeah.
Hit the bar in the 55th minute from Anthony Martial. On 56th, we had our wish. Greenwood came on earlier this time, on for Jesse Lingard. So we had a little bit more time this time to make his mark. What do you make of Mason's performance?
I thought he was pretty anonymous, pal. I wish I saw more of him. Obviously, he contributed to winning the penalty, but it just didn't seem like he was given an opportunity to really play.
Yeah, I can double down on that, really. 58th minute, I just put fouls everywhere. It was just foul central out there. Another free kick went out for a goal kick, this time Ashley Young. And then 69th minute, McTominay, penalty, Milivojevic, no yellow card for that. And then Marcus Rashford stepped up. As you say, it was a well-hit penalty. It was an almost perfectly placed penalty, but it hit the inside of the post and stayed out. You have to say the pressure was amped up this week, and now it's just going to be amped up even further for whoever takes the next penalty.
Yeah, and it was the matter of inches away from this whole matter being completely finished with.
Yeah.
Right. If he had stepped up and smashed it in off the post, every turn around, what you worried about?
Yeah.
Then this issue's completely over, and now it's just doubled.
Yeah.
It's a real shame, mate.
It really is. It really is. And then 71st minute, Daniel James got booked for diving for the second time this season.
Unbelievable.
He got fouled again, Scott.
Yeah.
I don't even need to ask you whether he got fouled. He got fouled. What? So why not VAR? Why not VAR? The whole point of VAR is that we want to get everything right. So why have we got a player who has been booked 2 times in 3 games? Why can't the VAR guy just tell the ref, Paul Tierney, listen, you made a mistake, rescind it?
If anything, I think after the first week that a bit too much was being reviewed, that they're told to just try and play old school and not disrupt the game as much, and it's detrimental.
But the thing is with that, Scott, is you don't need to, this is my point, you don't need to disrupt the game one iota. You can literally let the ball play on, no worries at all. Just whisper in the ref's ear, you got it wrong with Daniel James, rescind the yellow. Why can't they do that? Next stoppage in play, all you need to do is just hold up the yellow and then do whatever you do, take it down, put up a white card, I don't know. But there's got to be some kind of system. Because at the moment, if you get called offside, the game stops. VAR then cannot let you play on. So the attacking teams are getting punished. It's only the attacking things that can get disallowed. The decision's already given the other way. You can't ungive an offside.
You're right. I think if anything, they need to stop stopping the play dead for a dive and book him when next time the ball goes out of play, in which time there can be some
100%.
review being played. But I don't think you can go down the road of start rescinding things, because then someone's going to get sent off, and then before you know it, they're unsent off, and it's going to be bedlam.
But why not, Scott? Why not? If we're playing VAR nonsense, why not? If someone's been sent off in the 35th minute and they didn't deserve to be sent off, I've always said this, by the way, why at half-time can the ref not let them back on again? You're only punishing the team then for 15 minutes instead of an hour. Now, the old argument from the FA would be we don't re-referee games. You re-referee games every 5 minutes now.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's out the window, isn't it?
Yeah.
So all this yellow cards can't be rescinded. It was all under that premise that we can't re-referee refereeing decisions. But they are now across the board. So who knows where it will go, mate.
I just think that opens the door to complete chaos and complete bedlam.
Do you not see, mate, we've already opened the door to complete chaos and bedlam. I think that's what's happened with VAR already, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, we've got, you know, did you see Ronaldo's goal for Juventus?
I didn't.
So he went through, smashed it home, VAR came up, and it was the same old shoulder trick again. Red line and green line, someone's shoulder's the green line, someone's foot's the red line, and it was, who knows whether he was offside or not. You could just not tell, one way or the other. The camera was not clear enough, and he got given offside. And so the goal got disallowed. It's mental, Scott, honestly. It's just bizarre. It really is.
I think they're just trying to control the chaos, right? They know it's going to be chaotic, but they're just trying to control it.
Yeah, I know. Zaha, clapping Zaha, but in the 79th minute, we had a penalty shout in the 82nd minute. Looked like a bit of contact there, but really, mate, their keeper was booked in the 82nd, so it took them up to 4-2. And then in the 89th, ball fell to Daniel James in the box. What an amazing finish, mate, right in the top corner. 2-2 at Old Trafford.
Yeah, again, I thought he had taken too long to take the shot like he did in his home debut, but what a wonderful finish. And I actually really like the picture of him trying to celebrate in front of the Stretford end and Martial and Rashford trying to pull him back.
Get back, come on.
Get on with it.
Yeah, no, I know. I get both points of view. I'm not going to slam him for that. Mm-hmm. But it's a worry, mate, really. We've got, to me, your Daniel Jameses, your Rashfords, your Greenwoods. They're the people who should be being brought into this team slowly. You know, they're not the people who should be carrying us on their shoulders for the season. And I keep on looking at our blooming bench. I keep on looking at our injury list, trying to find the people I'm missing. But the sad thing is, Scott, is I'm not missing anyone apart from Alexis Sanchez and Fred and Eric Bailly. They're the only three who are out and might come back. But the likelihood is that Sanchez won't be coming back. We're hearing Fred might go off to blooming Fiorentina for 25 million. And the truth is those guys are carrying us on their shoulders. And over our long, hard season, me and you have watched enough football, and I know our listeners have too, to know that they will have blips. And yeah, if you're relying on a £15 million signing and a couple of youngsters to carry you all throughout the season, yeah, it's at best a massive risk.
Yeah, I think to that point, I don't think we can get rid of Alexis Sanchez, as bad as he's been.
We can't.
Especially given we don't have time to replace him or anything. It's mind-boggling to me, mate.
No, we can't. We can't. I mean, we got rid of Lukaku already. Look, Scott, you look at that front four, and there were so many people in Europe we could have bought this summer that would have slipped into that front four.
Yep.
Dybala's agent has come out and said that it was the clubs that couldn't agree the deal. Nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with Paulo Dybala.
Well, he's going to say that, isn't he?
Oh, I know. But there's all kind of players all around Europe, mate, and it's all very well. But we started with Lingard, Martial, Rashford and James as our first choice front four, mate.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's acceptable, but it's also the first game of the season was our front four and we ended up winning 4-0. I think that result, if anything, has pushed us back in terms of the confidence we had in our team and everything's going to be fine. And as soon as the cracks start emerging, they just become wider and wider before our very eyes.
Yeah, let's not forget that Wolves, I know everyone said it was a great point at Wolves. I didn't. I was furious. Wolves drew to Burnley at the weekend. They needed a 97th minute penalty to draw that. And I think they conceded very, very early on, indeed. And so they trailed for pretty much the whole game. And they sneaked a point off Burnley. And we held on to a point at Wolves at the end there. So all these people who are saying it's a great point and stuff, I didn't think it was. And now the proof's in the pudding, I think, against Palace. Look, I don't want to dig Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out too much, but after the Everton game, he did come out pretty hard and he did say that I'm going to get rid of a load of players. Lots of these players are not going to be with me. You're going to be surprised by the quality of players coming in the summer. I'm not surprised that Harry Maguire signed for us. I'm not surprised that Wan-Bissaka signed for us. I'm not surprised that Daniel James signed for us. I think they're all players who I would have thought would jump at the chance to sign for United from Leicester and Swansea and Crystal Palace. All of the players, apart from Lukaku, are pretty much here still. So I don't want to forget how bad the end of last season was. Solskjaer knew how bad it was. But now we're just doing the same thing, Scott. We've got, if in my eyes, a worse team. We haven't got Herrera, we haven't got Lukaku. I don't know what's happened. I don't know whether Ollie hasn't been backed or whether he's going along a route that we don't understand, but it's not matching up, mate. I'm not surprised by the quality, and these players are still here.
No, you can't really blame him. I don't think he's got the experience as a manager in order to be able to buy and sell the players that we need for the level that we need to be at. I think that a director of football was the first name on the list that we needed. And then after a week, everyone forgets about that.
And it was, Scott, can I just interject? Am I correct in thinking it was December when we were talking about a director of football? I'm sure it was. I'm sure when we sat Mourinho, we came out and said we're going to get a director of football back in December. It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
Yeah, and it's not as though we need to be within a transfer window in order to sign a director of football. We could have done that in March and given them months in order to prepare for the summer.
Now we're coming up on almost a year.
Yeah.
By the next transfer window, it will definitely 100% be a year since we started looking for one.
Yeah.
It's just bonkers stuff. It boggles the mind.
I don't even think we're looking anymore.
That is one thing I would want to chat to you about, Scott, just quickly. I know we try and sort of stay out of the club politics in general, but it does seem a bit bizarre what's going on at the top at the moment. It doesn't even seem like they're setting it up to make the most money.
Yeah.
It seems a bit weird.
It does. I mean, the years that we don't qualify for the Champions League and we hear about how much money the club loses out on when they don't qualify for it, you'd think that would be first in their mind, and first on their list of priorities to do. But it doesn't even seem like that is a priority anymore.
No. I mean, I just find it bizarre because, like we've discussed before, there's some quite obvious ways to make a football club strong and affluent. And we're not really doing them. And it does seem that the Glazers are kind of, well, it seems like they're pocketing. It does seem like they might possibly be looking to sell. That's the only thing I can smell here.
Fingers crossed, mate, because they need to be gone pretty soon.
Yeah, but do you understand why I'm saying that, mate? Because to me, look, when you're selling, you want to put as much money in the coffers as possible and say, look, this is a cash-rich club. And they don't really seem to be trying to progress this team. It's bizarre. But mate, if they do intend to stay, they're doing it all wrong, because realistically, you're hearing now that Nike are going to offer Liverpool more than Adidas are paying us for the shirt sponsor. And as the years go by, if we continue this sort of habit of being a losing team, which we are gaining a reputation for now, we're not going to get as much sponsorship money in comparison to the other guys. It's just not going to happen anymore.
Oh, I think that's a difficult comparison to make, because we signed this Adidas deal, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And 75 million a year back then was 5 times as much as anyone was getting.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they wanted to sign a 10-year contract, because they knew if we were to renegotiate 5 years in, we could probably maybe not double it, but at least get over 100 million for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a difficult stat to compare. I mean, It's like when we bought Pogba and everyone was saying it was how outrageous it was.
Yeah.
And they're saying within a few years you're going to see it's a good deal.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the same thing with that sponsorship money.
That's a great point, Scott. You're spot on. It is not apples for apples. But we as United have had the habit of getting the biggest sponsorship deal. It's staying the biggest sponsorship deal and then just getting another one on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how blooming strong we were. Look, it's not time to blooming slip the wrist yet, mate. But the other thing is that Liverpool are now saying that they're going to increase the capacity of the ground, Anfield. The Anfield Road end is going to be extended, and they'll be up to 60,000. Now, look, Scott, we're at sort of 76, 78, but we have been for a number of years now. And if you look around, mate, everyone gradually is catching up in terms of capacity, in terms of their earning power. And I would say they're catching up in terms of squad, but most of them have overtaken us now.
Yeah, they're way beyond that.
But do you see what I'm saying, Scott? It's not me being a baby. You know, I'm the most positive guy, and all I want to do is find a way for us to go forward from here. But you have to look. Tottenham have got a better stadium. Liverpool have got a better stadium. Arsenal have got a better stadium than they used to. Not better than ours, but a better stadium than they used to. City have got a better stadium than they used to. All of our rivals have got a better stadium than they used to. Bigger capacity, bigger earning power. In that time, ours has stayed the same.
Yeah.
Our squad, when they started trying to catch us up stadium-wise, was miles better than all of those teams. Now, we're miles worse.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
It's across the board, Scott. And sorry, I'm just going to carry on a little bit, but even to the level of like the documentaries other clubs do, the social media activities the other clubs do, it's a level above ours now.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, you're right. When you have a chief executive who doesn't have a history in football, he's an investment banker. I think you can only go so far. It's like you can have the best F1 car in the world, but if you don't have the driver, you're not going to get around the track as quick as everyone else.
Yeah, it's true. And something does have to move. And the mad thing is they admitted this. This was all admitted when Jose Mourinho got fired.
Mm-hmm.
They admitted that we need a director of football. Basically, Ed Woodward said he can't do it himself. That's effectively what he said by saying, I want a director of football. And as usual, the months slip by and they play us for mugs. And I'm sorry, mate, but I have to say it again. The Solskjaer thing, you'll be surprised by the quality of the players. These players won't be here next season. I will be. I'll be successful. He's done the same as the blooming owners have done. He's given it a few months and now he's forgetting he's ever said it. He's brushed it under the carpet and now it's a whole different blooming narrative. And I haven't forgotten. And the more we lose to Palace and the more we blooming draw to Wolves, the more everybody is going to be reminded of what a state this football club was in at the end of last season and why we needed to have such a bloody amazing summer to get out of it.
Yeah, you're right. But it seems like as soon as the dust settles from all the turmoil, it's just back to the old routines, mate.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's mental, mate. Absolutely mental. And yeah, I don't know where we go from here, pal. Really, it's we're 3 games into the season. What you want to do is, in my eyes, I was thinking, right, I understand the end of the summer was awful. We had a really, really bad transfer window. We didn't get the players in we wanted to. But I looked at the league table. I said, look, if we can just pick up the points against the teams we should beat, sure, if we have to get embarrassed once or twice against the big boys, I understand it. We're rebuilding. That's fine. I can hack that. But we've got to pick up as many points as we possibly can against the lesser teams, and then you're fine. Top 4, no worries at all. I've seen teams win titles where they just bully the small teams. We've dropped 2 points against Wolves. We've dropped 3 points against Palace. We're 5 points off the top already. These first 2 months, remember, they were the easy games. Remember that conversation we had, buddy?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get too down about it after 3 games into the season, bud, but it's pretty bad now, isn't it?
It's definitely not good, mate. It's definitely not good. So we've got a big game on Saturday away at Southampton. We've got to buck up our ideas and get to it.
Yeah, and what do you think, mate? What would you like to see changed? We obviously need to do some things, positive moves with this team. We're probably going to be better off playing away, aren't we, with this setup?
Yeah, with a counter-attacking football. If anything, I'd like to see Pogba moved into the number 10.
Yeah.
We've got Fred, we got Matic, we got James Garner as well to play next to McTominay. As much as I really like Jesse Lingard, I think he gives everything, and having a homegrown talent is always first tick on the box for me. I just don't think he's good enough to play in that number 10.
No, not week in, week out for United.
No, another thing I'd like to see Alexis Sanchez dragged back into the team and made to play. It's ridiculous, this.
It is, Scott.
I can't get my head around it. I really can't.
He's our highest paid player. We're paying him more money than anybody else in the club.
Yeah.
And he's literally just mugging us off.
Yeah.
He's just having a laugh.
And if he's not going to, it's either get rid of him or get him back in the team.
Yeah.
And if you're going to get rid of him, then let's get rid of him and just move on from here. But to have this tumultuous situation just stinking the place out week after week is just killing everybody. You've got Angel Gomez turning up to every game and not getting even a look in on the bench. So I think that can change too. Hopefully he can have a place in this team because we need some attacking threat.
Yeah, we do. No, I know. We need a game breaker.
Yeah.
We need a game breaker in there. At the moment, we've got speed. We need a game breaker. And yeah, you're right. Alexis Sanchez, if we're paying him the cash and he's going to stay at the club, then he needs to get a blooming clip around his ear and get his blooming arse into gear. That's the truth of the matter.
Otherwise, just get rid of him.
I know. And I'm happy with either. But it boggles the mind that he is earning more than anyone's ever earned at our football club, and he behaves like he does.
Yeah, and it's not even that he's been unlucky. I just don't think his heart's not in it anymore. The choice was between going to City and coming to us, and we showed that we wanted him more, but he's just not reciprocating that at all, and I'm fed up with it.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. He's got to go. Just a quick word, mate. I know we were quite scathing at the end of last season, also supportive of David De Gea. Were you pointing fingers at the late goal? It went in at his near post, obviously deflected off his hand on the way in. Quite a few people were saying it was a blooper blunder. What about yourself, mate?
Wasn't the David De Gea that we know. It was the David De Gea at the end of last season who, shorn of confidence, I would have expected him to make that save. I wouldn't go so far as to call it a blooper. I just think it was poor goalkeeping.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was a blooper. It wasn't great goalkeeping. I haven't had the feeling from Dave that it's the end of last season, Dave, in the last few games. I've had a good feeling about Dave. Mm-hmm. I felt confident with him again. So I'm not going to slag him off for that. As far as I'm concerned, you get the ball blasted at you from that distance. It's incredible how many of those he keeps out.
Yeah.
It's almost incomprehensible. So when one does go in, you've got to take it on the chin. There's been a few more than you'd like in recent months. But Dave's the least of our worries, I think, at the moment.
As well, how easy was it for them to get in that position?
Don't even start.
And I think if you're going to point fingers, looked like Victor Lindelof was just the Victor Lindelof of 2017 again.
Yeah. And do you expect Ashley Young to get the armband back on Saturday? With Young coming back in the team for Luke Shaw?
I wouldn't. I'm going to hope Dave keeps it. I would actually like to see Brandon Williams be promoted, the left back in the under-23s. I thought he's been playing pretty well for the under-23s.
Yeah, it really has, yeah. Absolutely. And what do you make of these other rumours, mate? I know I mentioned it earlier. Fred, they're linking him to Fiorentina now for £26 million. We bought him for 52 million a couple of years ago. Can you see that one happening?
I certainly hope not. I don't think, as bad as he played last year or as bad as we played, I don't think you can slice half of your transfer fee off within 1 year. I don't think we got the players to replace him. It's not as though...
Mate, are the papers trying to wind us up?
I don't know.
Because, we've got no midfielders, and so they're like, oh, yeah, you're going to sell one of your midfielders. We've got no attackers, and they're like, oh, Sanchez is definitely going as well.
Yeah, he's
gone. You having a laugh?
Yeah. We've got 9 defenders, and we can't get rid of any of them. It just doesn't seem to make sense.
Actually, there was a bit of positive news in terms of moving some people on that front. Zenit St. Petersburg actually opened their Twitter up today for the first time ever, so people could direct message them. And they were bombarded with fans begging them to sign Phil Jones.
Never going to happen, mate.
And Mustafi, so that shows the company's keeping these days.
Never going to happen.
So you're not Phil Jones off to Russia with a Secret Service?
Is he going to move? Because we can accept, as we've learnt with Alexis Sanchez, you can accept all the bids you want, but the player has the last say, and I can't see that one happening.
No. So, mate, we move on to Southampton. It's been a chastening start to the season, pal. We'll be back at the end of the week. We'll go over the academy results and the academy reviews as well. Thank you for listening again. Be sure to subscribe, follow and share on your favourite podcast app. Let's hope this start to the season takes a positive turn sooner rather than later. Thanks for joining me, Scott.
Thank you, TC.
Cheerio, Reds.
Ta-ra.